Aerial apocalypse plus infrastructure plus raising offspring plus farming and breeding, how to build a prosperous planet with a mobile item, skill, a cub that inspires efficiency improvement, and an interstellar wasteland. A meteor shower almost wiped out over 100 planets. The Space Administration said that there are too many disaster-stricken planets and resources are insufficient, and only the top 30 rescue values are listed. Immediately deliver each survivor an encyclopedia building, a breeding system, and cultivate outstanding clone offspring. Orange Star nanny Wu Yu is forced to collect resources with her children, diligently climb the rankings, and gather data. Li Jing, a special agent of the Federation of Space Peace and Blue Star, impersonated a super idol and became a cub, sealed in a capsule just to understand the mastermind behind this conspiracy. At the beginning, Wu Yu opened it as a blind box. "Hello, I'm Tay." Wu Yu lifted the large planet that covered the sky and earth, and smashed it towards the ruins of Orange Star. Bang! "What are you saying?" "No, nothing, nothing." The clones grow very quickly, and without realizing it, the cubs have all grown up. Super idols, scientists, writers, sports superstars, even the once most obedient and cute daughter has become a proud and domineering female CEO. Keywords of the novel. Interstellar nurturing. I rely on mobile infrastructure to build everything without pop-ups. Interstellar nurturing. I rely on mobile infrastructure to build everything. Download the complete set of TXT. Interstellar nurturing. I rely on mobile infrastructure to build everything. Read the latest chapter on mobile infrastructure. Chapter 1. Raising Children in Waste Soil. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Raising Children in Waste Soil. Thank you for inviting me. I am in the wasteland and have just finished dumping the garbage. Except for just being cleared by a giant star, everything went smoothly. Beside the trash can, Wu Yu squinted his eyes and looked at the young boy in front of him who claimed to be a superstar. It's a long story. Orange Star is a rich and beautiful planet. Wu Yu, a little nanny living in a poor polar area, made a wish to a shooting star when she went out to take out the garbage. Meteor, let me become the wealthiest person on Orange Star. Meteor heard the girl's prayer and fulfilled her wish. With a bang, the meteor collided with the Orange Star. The young girl Wu Yu became the only living creature on the Orange Star. After the massive collision, Wu Yu, who was still shocked, stepped onto the ruins. The Space Administration is inviting you. The Space Administration is inviting you. A loud alarm sounded in the air, and she covered her ears and quickly clicked on the agree invitation on the digital screen in front of her. As the alarm stopped, a bright blue vortex appeared in front of Wu Yu. The vortex spit out 2 books, and she quickly caught them. The 2 books in my hand are called Encyclopedia of Everything and Guide to Raising Children. The mechanical female prompt sound rang again. We are encrypting your interstellar call connection. Hello survivors. In mid-air, a huge projection screen suddenly appeared, and a man in uniform with a friendly face appeared on the screen. I am the commander of the Space Administration, and I deeply regret the disaster that you have just suffered. Half an hour ago, a large number of interstellar planets experienced trajectory deviation. Even though the Management Bureau issued a timely warning, the incident suddenly occurred, and more than 100 planets were still hit by meteors, causing significant casualties and unable to turn the tide. Wu Yu blinked her eyes twice and found her beloved potted sunflower from the ruins. She cruelly pulled out the flower tray and nibbled on the half-cooked melon seeds. In response to this, the Management Bureau has proposed emergency measures and sent 2 manuals, the Encyclopedia of Everything and the Childcare Guide, to each survivor to help them better develop civilization and restore the planet. At the same time, due to the damage of the signal end of the disaster planet, the inability to access the space network, and the inability to communicate with users outside the Management Bureau. We invite all survivors of the disaster-stricken planet to join the Interstellar Survivors United Network, also known as the Interstellar Network, established by the agency. As an internal regional network, it is different from the anonymous universe network that we only use for chatting and trading in our daily lives. In the interstellar network, user data is fully transparent, and all survivors will represent the planet to communicate with each other, share experiences, and collaborate to promote development. The man's expression on the big screen suddenly changed, becoming increasingly sad. However, due to limited resources, the Management Bureau. In order to facilitate the smooth revival of the planet, the Space Administration will only provide funding for the top 30 planets with excellent comprehensive data and ranking on the interstellar network. She has a bad premonition. What about the planets after 30? A eerie male duck voice appeared out of thin air. The commander's expression became increasingly heavy. Thank you to the survivors of the planet crews for their questions. In order to make up for the deficit of the Management Bureau and ensure better resource supply, the Management Bureau will carry out resource recycling on other planets. As for how to recycle, the screen in front of Wu Yu suddenly switched channels, and a rotating planet appeared in the center of the screen. A bomb slowly hit the planet. With a loud bang, explode. The planet instantly turned into powder, but before it could disperse, the bomb generated a transparent pocket and filled it with all the powder. Even the remaining part of the bomb's tail formed two small brooms. After sweeping the remaining dust around into the pocket, shwa shwa shwa, two brooms belched heavily, dragging their pockets in front and back into a huge vacuum cleaner floating in the universe. Pop! The melon seeds in his hand fell to the ground, causing Wu Yu to open his mouth in shock. It's not like it's done so well. The scene cuts back, and the commander's face is full of smiles. The recycling machine of the Management Bureau has been collecting resources for a fee in interstellar space. After all, in today's resource scarcity, even dust should be used well. Before he could finish speaking, a female secretary suddenly burst into the scene, whispering in his ear for a moment in a hurry. I'm sorry, there was a mistake just now. I guarantee on behalf of the Management Bureau that recycling will never threaten everyone's lives. Someone suddenly appeared behind the screen, and the commander showed an anxious expression, causing the scene to gradually become chaotic. Director, I don't. Signal interrupted, interstellar call ended. Signal interrupted, interstellar call ended. Wu Yu petrified in place and quickly picked up two books as if suddenly pretending to be a corpse. Her mind once again conjured up the planet that had been bombed and packed away. A gust of chills. Encyclopedia of Everything, Guide to Raising Children. She looked at her left hand, then at her right hand, and finally decided to open the parenting guide first. After all, being a nanny, she is professional. At the moment when Wu Yu flipped through the pages of the book, the light screen accompanied by many prompt sounds appeared simultaneously. The giant training program has officially begun. Jump to the practical skill selection page. The cultivation system has been successfully bound. A series of prompts left Wu Yu at a loss. Please choose giant capsule. Please throw the capsule key included in the book into the vortex. Comes with the book as a gift. She quickly searched through the parenting guide and found a red patterned metal coin on the rubber seal at the end. After carefully removing the coin, a small red vortex appeared next to the light screen. Wu Yu looked at the coins, at the dazzling images on the holographic screen, and felt that everything seemed familiar. Is this an egg twisting machine? She hesitated and threw the coin in, and a picture appeared on the screen. The camera enters from a hidden hibernation chamber, scans for a moment, and a robotic arm throws a coin into the hibernation capsule chamber, revealing a burst of colorful light. Wu Yu stared at the light on the screen, filled with unprecedented expectations in the face of the unknown. The cub you have chosen this time is Orange Star Idol. Li Jing, in the hibernation pod, a little boy slowly opened his eyes. Above the void in his right eye, a blue holographic screen appeared, and the changing light and shadow reflected in his eyes. Agent 6230 Li Jing has been awakened and is about to send a signal to headquarters, the Federation of Space Peace. The light and shadow disappeared in an instant, and a beam of signal was transmitted to an unknown direction. Wu Yu did not notice all of this. After the colorful light, the red vortex threw out a blue-haired cub, which quickly disappeared afterwards. She quickly stepped forward to catch the cub, and before she could firmly put him down, she received a seductive glance from him. Blue hair fluttered in the wind, and a fair little face piled up with a layer of milk fat. I am the universe's love being, Li Jing. He picked the broken hair in front of his forehead with his little hand and made a wink. Scream for this superstar. Wu Yu half bent over, supporting the cub and froze in place. I won't move if the enemy doesn't move, and the cubs won't move even if they squeeze the wink. For a long time, Wu Yu raised his hand and touched his forehead. I don't have a fever. Hey. Is this your attitude towards superstars? Wu Yu placed the fried fur cub next to the polar trash can, while he sat on the ruins, holding the parenting guide to study his suddenly bound new system. She flipped through 2 pages to read and nodded with an open mind. In order to prevent major disasters, various planets have cloned offspring using genes of individuals who have made outstanding contributions or had a significant impact on society, and stored them in the dormant module of the Space Administration. Survivors, after possessing certain resources, can exchange the key to the hibernation pod, awaken their cubs, and recall the planet. After cultivation, clones will grow rapidly and play a crucial role in planet reconstruction. As she looked up, she noticed that little blue hair was glaring at her angrily next to the trash can. What can superstar idols do? Become cheerleaders. She tentatively recruited the system and quickly scanned the cub in front of her. Appetite is on the charts, charm is on the charts. Wu Yu, who was stunned, looked at the data panel and then used the system to perform practical processing and analysis on the data. According to analysis, young cubs have extremely high charm and affinity, which can inspire organisms and greatly improve their work efficiency. What a cheerleader. But Orange Star, we don't even have labor now. What's the use of having a cheerleading team? The new book has been signed, feel free to consume it with confidence. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Unexpected Skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Unexpected Skills. She was pondering as numerous markings appeared on the cub in front of her. With a variety of numerical values and pie charts, Wu Yu felt a headache as she slid in the void and turned a page to the right. Li Jing, cub, 6 years old, hungry and tired, very good, very concise. Wu Yu checked the items on her body and found nothing but beauty and sunflowers pulled from the potted plants. She stuffed the melon seed plate into the cub's hand, chuckled at him in anger, and raised a thick encyclopedia of all things. Wait until I finish reading this book, we'll have something to eat. How many pages? Looking at the questioning cubs, Wu Yuping smiled and opened the intelligent search. The physical part of the book you searched for is 30,000 pages, what about the virtual part? Network shared resources are 3765747382700987777000000 pages. The cubs were growling in frustration. Wu Yuping smiled and closed the book, feeling as if 10,000 horses were galloping in his heart. But later, Wu Yu, who was at a loss, could only sit down again and carefully flip through the pages. Each page of the book is a production method, covering a wide range of categories, including clothing, food, housing, and transportation. There is a column of required materials under the method, such as wood, iron nails, etc. Collect enough materials to make it. Wu Yu looked at the empty material column and instinctively clicked on Make. Lack of materials. Will you spend 10,000 Interstellar coins to purchase directly from the Management Bureau? You can still purchase directly. She read the expensive numbers multiple times and retreated to look at the scrambled eggs, in the column, lost in thought. Your planet's transmission end is damaged, and you can only use the advanced vortex channel, with a capacity of 1, for trading. Among them, the value of the poached egg is 300 Interstellar coins, and the premium vortex charges a service fee of 9,700 Interstellar coins. Wu Yuping smiled and closed the book. It's not that fried eggs are expensive, it's the shipping cost. It's better to just read a book. Just as Wu Yu was preparing to taste the book, the encyclopedia of all things popped up in time. Encyclopedia of all things free experience. Thatched cottage production. Wu Yu's mouth has not been retracted yet. Minimalist quick pass edition, learn one book per page. She finally slowly withdrew her mouth and stared at the production page popping up on the trembling screen in front of her. The minimalist version. We have opened the production guide and simple guide for you. On a flat piece of land, the white dashed frame of the building frame lights up. We have purchased for free from the Management Bureau. Advanced Vortex Single-Use Right, Thatched Cottage Material Pack, accompanied by the system prompt sound, a vortex appeared in mid-air, spewing out a large amount of material. Materials such as tree trunks, vines, stones, thatch, mud, thorns, and fire stacks, component packages, have been successfully transported. In a few minutes Wu Yu raised a tree trunk that was the thickness of his wrist and inserted it into the ground, aligning it with the indicated dashed box. The production of a thatched cottage is not complicated, just use vines to wrap around tree trunks to build a frame, tie the thatched roof, and then fill the walls with thorns and mud, and set fire to dry. The only difficulty lies in the unfamiliar operation of Wu Yu and the relatively small amount of effort, making the entire operation process particularly laborious. After all, interstellar space has entered the era of intelligent machinery, and most interstellar creatures have lost their power. Detected that you are building, do you want to choose item type practical skills? Different system prompt sound. The light screen appears in front of the dashed box, with 4 practical skills lined up. Item movement, item decomposition, item deletion, item damage. Wu Yu read item by item and gradually frowned. It seems like there's no other choice. She reluctantly chose the item movement skill. Skill activated, operation tool implanted successfully. The light screen disappears, and in front of the dashed box, an operation guide appears. Please shift your gaze to the item. Wu Yu turned around and looked at the numerous materials on the ground, only to find that the materials had illuminated various colored borders. The color combination of red, yellow, blue, and green is like a plate of Devil's chili fried lizard eggs, approximately equivalent to Blue Star's chili fried eggs. At the same time, the sound of the system's explanation rang in my ear. The system is about to introduce you to the item movement skill you have selected. This skill is provided by the Management Bureau, and the tool uses cutting edge interstellar technology. It is only used for planet revival. Please follow the system operation. Double-click on the green border material and drag it. Wu's index finger double-clicked across the air, and the trunk of the tree accompanied the movement, easily rising into mid-air. Wow! What about things with red and yellow borders? Operation rules. Green represents completely bare and leaked items, which can be operated. Yellow and red respectively represent partially covered items and completely covered items, both of which cannot be operated. She nodded and tried again at the material, realizing that she could easily move the item without any effort. It's amazing, how did it happen? Based on your cognitive level, the system adopts a simple answer mode. The function of technology is similar to an infinitely stacked lever, which reduces the force required for movement infinitely. Finally, it is powered by stored high-efficiency energy materials, so that users can use forces close to zero for operation. Wu Yu feels very novel and is constantly trying. Wow, then what? This technology is not publicly available for use and is classified as a cutting-edge high-authority secret. Users have no right to inquire. Just follow the operating rules and perform the operation. Wu Yu looked up at the screen and quickly gave up his curiosity, following the process to continue building. Simply put, the green border can move, while the yellow and red borders cannot. Although it sounds quite impressive, it can only be used for moving things during this time. Li Jing's cubs stood in the distance, looking suspiciously at her as she picked up things from afar. Do you know magic? Wu Yu held his head high and chest high, feeling inexplicably proud. He suppressed the urge to pinch his tender little face. No, this is the power of technology. The cub pouted in dissatisfaction and began to imitate Wu dialect with a cute and silly demeanor. Of course, nothing happened except for what looked like a mental illness. After learning the skills, building becomes extremely simple. Just follow the white border and set it up according to the position and number. Congratulations, the production of the thatched cottage has been completed. Wu Yu clapped her hands and crossed her waist, yawning with pride after hard work. Let's start using the encyclopedia of everything to build an interstellar space station now. She almost vomited a mouthful of old blood. Is this the beginner's journey from beginner to grave entry? Inside the thatched cottage, the two of them each had their own thoughts. Li Jing is feeling drowsy and lost in thought, while Wu Yu is flipping through the encyclopedia of everything. It seems there's still nothing to eat. There are no ingredients at all, and having a recipe is useless. Gulu gulu. Following the direction of the voice, Wu Yu looked up. The cub is huddled in the corner, rubbing its soft belly. Gulu gulu. He grabbed the bare melon seed plate and took a bite. Clack. Gulu gulu. Wu Yu stared at the numb cub and his eyelids twitched. Is it a broken tooth? Wu Yu quickly swiped to the right and glanced at Li Jing's state. Numerical analysis of state in progress. Li Jing, 6-year-old cub, very hungry, with a health condition about to decrease and a 0-hour death. This superstar is so hungry. Do you have anything to eat? No, why don't we go out and look for it? Health point 1, health point 1, health point 1. She turned off the holographic screen and found Li Jing lying on the ground, with a white object floating above her head. Wu Yu looked at the half-dead cubs in panic. Immediately, there will be food soon. Wait for me, I'll go to the Interstellar network and ask. Wu Yu stuffed the spirit body on top of the cub's head back and hastily called it out of the Interstellar network. She quickly posted a message on the Interstellar network. Orange star. Hello everyone, how can I obtain food ingredients? Shaking toast stars. Did Hai not choose practical skills, Tusi? Huxing. If you haven't chosen yet, you can go to the leaderboard and have a look. All the data is publicly available. Sun toast star. Be careful, there is only one chance to choose Tusi. Practical skills. No way, that mobile item skill, devil's pepper fried lizard egg. A terrifying premonition instantly attacked Wu Yu, who trembled as she clicked on the leaderboard and saw someone else's skills. Practical skill. Wealth can rival a country, earning a subsidy of 100 interstellar coins per second. Practical skills. There are thousands of houses, and every minute a mechanical building is built. It can be synthesized and upgraded, and after upgrading, you will receive subsidies. Practical skill. Stir-fried eggs with colored peppers, producing a plate of devil's fried lizard eggs with colored peppers every minute. Who would choose such useless skills? Wait, at least it really gave a plate of devil-colored pepper stir-fried lizard eggs. Health point 1, health point 1, health point 1. Wu Yu looked at her declining health condition. Why is he hungry? It's my blood. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Bold Ideas. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Bold Ideas inside the spacecraft. 6230 received. The blue hair behind the holographic screen appears slightly messy, and a pair of black eyes shine brightly. ZZ. Killed in one blow. ZZ. Just do it directly, no matter who it is. Yes, sir. In the cold wind, the round head like a small black coal ball trembled as it was lifted from the trash can. The wind blew, and the soft blue hair fluttered, while the round black eyes, like grapes, stared into the distance. Li Jing's cubs were lying in the trash can, silently staring ahead. On the ruins, an emaciated woman is flipping through the trash. Hiccup. I don't know if he was extremely hungry, but Li Jing suddenly hiccup. Accompanied by the stench of garbage around, this scene appears particularly eerie. The cub struggled to lift its legs and lay down from the green trash can, falling to the ground. He struggled for a while, but in the end, he still pouted his little butt and lay in place. Blue Star Celebrities quote. Wherever you fall, lie down for a while. This is not about showing off, it's about nurturing one's energy and accumulating strength. Surprisingly thrown into the trash can. Agent 6203 felt his hair, being mercilessly blown back and forth by the cold wind. He tilted his head and stared blankly at the chaotic sky. I'm too hungry, I don't have any strength in my body. He never expected that a 6-year-old child's body would be so fragile and their IQ would be terrifyingly low. After all, after living for over 20 years, I am no longer a 6-year-old person. Excluding Children's Day every year. Li Jing tried hard to think, but his thoughts always shifted from space peace to almond chocolate, spicy noodles and railway babao congee. He struggled to get up from the ground, shook his empty head, and slid his left palm on his right arm. On the lotus-like tender arms, mechanical textures appear with the movement. Emitting sparkling blue light. The mech is in good condition, always ready. Eat almond chocolate. The cubs always feel like something is wrong, but they can't figure it out and shake their heads. Then I forgot what I was thinking the previous second. He felt extreme discomfort in his body and instinctively raised his right arm, opened his 5 fingers, and aimed at Wu Yu on the ruins. The blue mechanical texture lit up again, and the mecha wrapped around the arm evolved from the deep texture. Orange-yellow artillery fire ignited in the palm of the hand. You're awake, superstar baby. The mechanical cannon quickly retracted as if feeling guilty, and Li Jing fell to the ground again. I heard footsteps coming from afar, then returned to a warm embrace. Here's something to eat for you. The cubs' eyes suddenly lit up, but when they looked up, they found Wu Yu handed over the encyclopedia of all things. This superstar wants to eat almond chocolate. The weak Li Jing wilted in the strong wind. Wu Yu blinked his eyes. You eat it first. Scared it out, maybe there's almond chocolate to eat. Baby. Wu Yu sat casually in the same spot, holding the soft Li Jing in his arms, listening to the prompt sound of crazy blood loss. For a moment, I was also a bit confused. Perhaps we can only rely on this prayer-like method. In the impoverished areas where only nutrient solution can be consumed, there is no food to be found except for the sunflower pot at home. The nutrient solution pipeline undoubtedly collapsed completely, and the possibility of obtaining food supplements is almost zero. She called up the Interstellar network and looked at herself, who was ranked last on all the charts, feeling a bit disheartened. If it had been earlier. Just figure out the practical skills. The items were moved too hastily at that time. Wu Yu glanced briefly at the top dozens on the list, and even the village was almost built, while he could only hide in a dilapidated thatched cottage with his cubs, without even stuttering. At that time, I was afraid of being bombed after ranking 30, but now I feel too confident. Hey, thinking about it this way, exploding a ball may not necessarily be a bad thing. After all, there are still people who can burn their ashes for free, even though there are a few more impurities. Why throw away this superstar? The soft little thing in his arms asked fiercely. No. That superstar, why is it in the trash can? Li Jing lifted his head and fiercely pushed Wu Yu away, falling to the ground. Wu Yugong wanted to help, but found the little one crying helplessly. Woo, this superstar is so hungry. I want to eat almond chocolate, small spicy bars, and railway babao congee Although Wu Yu had never heard of any of these foods, he had no choice but to take the opportunity to comfort them. If I'm really hungry, why don't I just read this encyclopedia of everything first? Among all things, there must be almond chocolate. After Wu Yu finished speaking this sentence, he made himself laugh in anger. God, what am I doing? I'm fooling a child into reading. The cubs were crying loudly, pulling the encyclopedia of everything and throwing it towards the ruins. How could you treat this superstar like this and throw me away? Health point 1, Health point 1, Health point 1. Health point 1, Health point 1, Health point 1. Wu Yu sighed helplessly as she looked at her almost zero health. So, why on earth is he sad? Why is he taking my blood? Are you really going to die like this, because of child abuse? Health point 1, Health point 1, Health point 1. Bang dang. Interstellar coin +1, among a bunch of prompts, she sensitively caught a completely different one. Wu Yu looked at his data deposit in disbelief and found that there was indeed an interstellar coin in his empty account. She looked in the direction where it had been smashed, and a scattered light flashed above the ruins, constantly rising into the sky. Wu Yu looked at the cubs again and paused for a moment. Afterwards, he stared blankly at the ruins and excitedly gave Li Jing a kiss on his flesh face. Superstar baby, you're a genius. Li Jing stopped crying in surprise as he watched Wu Yu quickly get up and walk straight onto the ruins. Then, extremely excited, he began to stomp on the encyclopedia of everything. The cub looked foolish and began to question Wu Yu's intelligence. But after a while, Wu Yu vented her anger and walked towards the ruins to start a new round of attempts. She picked up a piece of scrap iron and smashed it into the ruins with force. Star coin +1, star coin +1, star coin +1. During the collision, the debris generated by the ruins emitted a faint white light, constantly flying upwards. The recycling machine of the Management Bureau has been collecting resources for a fee in interstellar space. After all, in today's resource scarcity, even dust should be used well. Wu Yu suddenly remembered the words from the commander of the Management Bureau at that time. So just now, the resources were collected for a fee. So, by smashing the debris generated from the ruins, you can obtain interstellar coins. Wu Yu's haggard face slowly released a smug smile. Now she knows what her mobile item skills are for. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. The cub leaned against the trash can, watching Wu Yu laughing uncontrollably, throwing and smashing objects frantically. Hold on to the sunflower tray and freeze. Low health alert, low health alert. If you continue to deduct health, you will die within 5 minutes, low health alert, low health alert. Countdown to 5 minutes, 4 minutes and 50.9 seconds. Wu Yu was startled in his heart, listening to the constantly urging alarm sounds in his ears, and his gaze quickly swept over the countless colored borders on the ruins. Items with green borders can be moved, while items with yellow or red borders cannot be moved. The system said that as long as it has a green border, it can. She stood in the boundless ruins, her gaze fixed on the broken desk wrapped in a green border. Wu Yu quickly double-clicked and lifted it high from above, throwing it towards the ruins. Bang dang. Star coin +1, star coin +1, star coin +1. Red border, yellow border, red, yellow. The countdown kept urging her, and the noisy prompts almost made her ears ring. No, interstellar coins don't have enough speed to obtain, they need more intense impact. Only larger objects can produce more debris. Countdown to 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 50.9 seconds. The huge building fragments with green frames were lifted by double-clicking and thrown towards the ruins. A huge building fragment, double-click to smash it down. A huge building fragment, double-click to smash it down. Star coin +1, star coin +1, star coin +1. Countdown to 2 minutes, 1 minute and 50.9 seconds. Saving 10,000 is enough to buy a fried egg, it's not enough now. Larger green box objects. Countdown to 1 minute and 30 seconds, 1 minute and 20.9 seconds. 1 minute and 20.5 seconds. The cold warning sound mercilessly pushed Wu Yu towards death. Anxious, Wu Yu anxiously lifted her head and caught a glimpse of a huge green curved edge. She froze in place in a daze. That's the giant planet that collided with Orange and crashed towards the equatorial line. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. After Getting Rich. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. After Getting Rich, countdown 1 minute. Wu Yu stood in the ruins, looking at the planet and laughing uncontrollably. Take a gamble and hide in the trash can. Upon hearing this, the cubs furrowed their brows and had disheveled hair, like stray dogs, frantically crawling back to the trash can. Hey, actually. Countdown 45 seconds. Li Jing could only see her back, and as she waved her hand, the sky slowly darkened. Hello. In the scorching wind, the cub raised its right arm, opened its 5 fingers, wrapped its mech around its arm, and aimed its palm at Wu Yu, igniting artillery fire once again. Countdown to 30 seconds. A huge planet slowly rises from the horizon, gradually obscuring a vast expanse of the sky. Li Jing widened his eyes until most of the sky was covered, and the sound of air hissing came from above. After a loud roar, the giant star headed towards the earth until it collided. The cubs instinctively quickly retracted into the trash can, buried their heads, until they heard the huge bang. Bang. After a series of ancient loud noises, Li Jing lost consciousness. A mechanical warehouse filled with green plants. 6230, the federal government believes that it is not a coincidence that there have been hundreds of planetary collisions in recent days. We hereby entrust Team 62 to use miniaturization technology to return to the age of 6 and replace some clones' identities. Enter the Space Administration's hibernation module and head to the affected planet to investigate the truth. A tall and thin man dressed in mechanical armor saluted the old man. 6230 received. The old man looked at him, his blue hair slightly messy behind the holographic screen, and a pair of black eyes shining brightly, full of energy. Later, lead Team 62 to modify mechs, ensuring that even if you turn 6 years old, you still have the ability to kill enemies with just one strike. He patted the man's shoulder. The Cosmic Peace Federation upholds peace, but cherishes life more. If someone threatens your lives, just take action, no matter who it is. Live and return to the blue star. Yes, sir. Saying it may not be believed by anyone. Wu Yugong controlled the giant star that almost caused the extinction of the orange star cluster, and collided with the orange star once again. If there may have been other creatures on orange star before, then now definitely not anymore. Wow, ah. Wow, ah, ah, ah. Wu Yu, who was sleeping on the ground, was awakened by a burst of painful crying. She frowned and was about to open her eyes when suddenly she felt a pain in her arm. Wu Yu struggled to open her eyes, only to find out that it was Li Jing, a little cub who took a firm bite on her arm. She raised her arm in difficulty and looked at the 2 rows of red teeth stained with saliva, unable to laugh or cry. Wow, ah, ah. This superstar thought you were dead. Wow, ah. Before Wu Yu could even get up, Li Jing, a crying little brat, suddenly pounced on her. The internal organs are about to be smashed and ruptured. Li Jing was crying bitterly, her small arms wrapped around Wu Yu's neck, and a stream of snot and tears flowed down her body. What a superstar, it's just a child. Wu Yu smiled slightly and tried to bend her sore arm, constantly following Li Jing's back. Giant babies don't cry, don't cry. Sister is still alive, living well, why don't you listen to this superstar? This superstar is a spy, ah, wow, wow. What? Health point 1, health point 1, health point 1. Star coin +1, star coin +1, star coin +1. A series of incoming sounds made Wu Yu's head even more painful. Wait a moment, one by one Wu Yu's mind was blank. Why does it hurt all over? Health point 1, Health point 1, Health point 1. Wait, why are you still losing blood? How can there still be blood to drop? Wu Yu pulled out the holographic screen and looked at his remaining health bars with values of 10 and not 9. With trembling hands, he opened the encyclopedia of everything and quickly purchased 50 or 60 fried eggs. Spend 650000 interstellar coins to obtain X65 fried eggs. The transmission vortex appeared at the speed of light, and in a panic, she quickly handed the fried egg to the cub, and she also wolfed it down herself. At this moment, the fear of death had overcome hunger, and they ate 50 or 60 whole, completely losing their appetite. While stuffing fried eggs into his mouth, Wu Yu checked the blood bar again. It won't bleed anymore. She breathed a sigh of relief and slid right to check Li Jing's condition. After seeing that his hunger had completely disappeared, she lay back in her original position with peace of mind. I don't want to eat fried eggs again in this lifetime. Wu Yu was about to cry without tears, but then she heard the cub crash and lay beside her. She caught a glimpse of the few remaining sunflower plates that had been gnawed on nearby. The hard sunflower plate is neatly arranged, with rows of small tooth marks that seem to indicate something. It turned out that when he was unconscious, he had not died due to losing his health. It was Li Jing who forced himself to eat sunflower flower plates raw to reduce hunger. That hard sunflower plate. No wonder there's still blood to deduct, poor little one. Wu Yu stared blankly at the chaotic sky. Did I do something? Why does it seem like I don't remember anything? Interstellar coins plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, interstellar coins plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, interstellar coins plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, Wu Yu frowned and heard a lot of warning sounds in his ear. Before she could think it over, a pile of data boxes suddenly appeared in front of her, staring blankly at the sky. Star coins. Wu Yu instinctively recited in a daze, but suddenly bounced back when he saw the string of numbers behind him. She had no time to care about the soreness in her body, and all her attention was focused on that string of numbers. Interstellar coin 99999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999999 a long string of numbers 9, until it passes through the end of the display in front of me. Yeah, when I was buying fried eggs just now. Wu murmured and then suddenly bounced off the ground. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Superstar baby, we're getting rich, getting rich. Li Jing, who had just eaten and was drowsy, was suddenly pulled up by Wu Yu and shook violently. The cub, trapped to the point where they couldn't open their eyes, opened their eyes in shock. Inside a thatched cottage. Wu Yu, with tattered clothes, leaned against the mud wall and looked at the holographic screen with a silly smile. A little kid with a gray head and a rustic face, his hair curled up, and his beautiful black face was covered in a layer of melancholy. It's over, crazy, completely crazy. Wu Yu looked at the ruins that had been cleared on the horizon, as well as the bright green borders of that huge planet. All of this confirms that what happened before was not false. She really lifted the entire planet and then recovered the ruins. According to the power of the planet, the farthest polar region has been cleared, so she has already obtained all the ruins and benefits of the entire orange star. Wu Yu. Superstar baby, whatever you want to buy, pick it up. She gracefully handed Li Jing the encyclopedia of everything. Li Jing stared at her with a puzzled expression on his face, his chubby little face piled up. This superstar doesn't mind if you don't have money, don't go crazy. Subsequently, he resolutely lifted the encyclopedia of all things and took a bite with a loud sound. Wu Yu was stunned. She didn't say much, just picked up the encyclopedia of everything and continued to be silly. I have been a poor person in the Orange Star slum for a lifetime, and this is the first time I have experienced the joy of becoming rich. Let this simple yet luxurious happiness last longer. Unlike the tranquility inside the thatched cottage, the interstellar world has already exploded. Just as everyone was developing their own world step by step, a planet that no one had ever noticed quickly topped the wealth list with a huge to terrifying amount in just 1 second. What's even more terrifying is that in the next 30 minutes, its wealth will continue to soar until it exceeds the longest number that a holographic screen can display without stopping. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Wealth List 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Wealth List 1 Meow Meow Star. A meow meow person is planning the layout of the village. Just take a glance at the wealth list and witness history. Within a second, a planet named Orange Star suddenly landed on the top list with a huge amount of money. Meow. She trembled from her ears to the tip of her tail, trembling as she typed and sent messages to the interstellar network. The vast world of interstellar networks. Meow Meow Star. Is anyone there? Meow, take a look at the wealth ranking. Meow. Frozen Star. What's wrong, what's wrong? The first master on this list is here Huxing. You have already ranked second, thank you. Frozen Star. I just bought some buildings with interstellar coins, and soon my master will be back on the top list Sun Toshi Star. You can set your mind to watch the leaderboard Tusi. Tuya Lixing. It's too scary, is this real data? Green Star. Is there a problem with the system? I will contact the Space Administration. Wang Wang Xing Wang 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 Wang. Huxing. Brother, what are you talking about? Meow Meow Star. Don't pay attention to people with low intelligence, meow. Wang Wangxing. Wang 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 Wang. Sunshine Tusi Star. Not the intelligent Xingren Tusi. On Meow Meow Star. Meow Meow Man guarded the holographic screen and glanced at the astonishing and terrifying number, which was actually 1,000 times more than the previous list of frozen stars. She was stunned, as if the signal network was stuck. After a brief pause, the interstellar currency began to soar at an astonishing speed again. In the blink of an eye, it's 10 times higher. The vast world of interstellar networks. Meow Meow Star. I'm dying meow. Meow Meow Star. That orange star's wealth has skyrocketed again. Wang Wangxing. Wang 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 Wang. Green Star. I went to ask the Space Administration and didn't find any system abnormalities. Tuya Lixing printing money can't even increase so quickly, ga. Tuya Lixing Li, I thought the data of Ben Ga was already very good ga. Huxing. Hey, I've seen this orange star before Hu Xing. A few hours ago, he asked us how to choose practical skills. Huxing. I remember it was at the bottom of all the charts at that time. Meow Meow Star. I went to see Meow, and except for wealth, everything else is ranked last, meow. Sun Toast Star. Tusi. Suning Tusi Star. Orange Star is very harmful to Tusi. Meow Meow Star. Low intelligent star man meow. This is obviously unreasonable, meow. Wang Wangxing. Wang 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 Wang. Purple Star. After all, without architecture, there is no prosperity, Purple Star. There is no way to make money anymore, laughs. Wang Wang Xing Wang Wang, Wang 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 Purple Star. You're welcome. You need to work hard. Huxing. Brother, who are you talking to? Meow Meow Star. How do you understand the speech of low intelligence creatures? 10 minutes have passed, and dozens of planets have noticed this phenomenon. Everyone silently guarded the wealth list, the long and absurdly soaring numbers behind the orange star. It can actually soar continuously for 10 minutes. The vast world of interstellar networks. Meow Meow Star. If it doesn't stop, my cat will be tired of watching. Meow. Green Star. The Space Administration says they have verified the data from Orange Star and have not found any issues. Purple Star. Isn't that really in a situation of having nothing? Purple Star. Suddenly became rich, laughs. Frozen Star. How could it be? My master thinks he must have cheated. Huxing. Does exceeding you mean cheating? Hee hee. Sun Toast Star. Tussie. Meow meow Star. Meow 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 thinks what he said makes sense. Meow. Tu Yili Xing Ga, come out quickly and explain. Ga. Meow meow Star. I also think. Meow. Wan Wan Xing. Wan 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 Wan. At a time when all the planets are discussing, Wu Yu was knocked unconscious by the massive shock wave of the planet and has not yet woken up. 15 minutes have passed, and all planets have put down their tasks and are staring at the wealth list. Finally, they waited for the increasingly long string of numbers to appear on the screen. The vast world of interstellar networks. Meow meow Star. Meow. Green Star. The latest reply from the Management Bureau has arrived. Green Star. They also feel that this data is too outrageous, and are contacting Orange Star. Green Star. But Orange Star seems to have lost contact. Sun Tussie Star. How Tussie? Frozen Star. It must be because of cheating and feeling guilty. Purple Star. Come out and answer the list. Huxing. Yes, Orange Star, come out and answer it. While all planets are waiting for Orange's reply, Wu Yu, worried about her health, and eating fried eggs with Li Jing. 30 minutes later, the vast world of interstellar networks. Green Star. The Management Bureau is still trying to contact Orange Star. Green Star. The management said that if the contact still fails, it may be an accident with Orange Star. Meow meow Star. How could it be? Meow. Green Star. The meaning of the Management Bureau is that this abnormal phenomenon is likely due to signal interference. Green Star. But I don't know why yet. Huxing. Ah, we were chatting together just now. Meow meow Star. Lament, meow. Sun shining Tussie Star. Tussie Purple Star. Orange Star walk well all the way, candle. JPG. Huxing. Orange Star has been walking well all the way, candle. JPG. Green Star. Orange Star walk well all the way, candle. JPG. Other planets. Orange Star, walk all the way. Orange Star. Wu Yu held Encyclopedia of Everything for a moment of foolishness, thinking of going to the interstellar network to check his wealth ranking. As soon as he entered the network, he was bombarded with news. Then it was discovered that Orange Star had been sent away by other planets. The vast world of interstellar networks. Huxing. He is the top-ranked brother. Frozen Star. Can you explain it to me? Meow meow Star. Meow meow. Curious to death, meow. Interstellar World. News 999 Plus, the news from the interstellar network skyrocketed at a terrifying speed. The reappearance of the Orange Star excited all planets. Wu Yuming remained in place, at a loss. She felt that she might have been stunned by the moment she dropped the planet. Superstar baby, do you think sister is stupid? The little one widened his grape eyes and looked at Wu Yu. This superstar is very intelligent and won't ask others foolishness. So, I think you. It's a bit silly. Wu Yu glanced at the pink jade carved cubs and patted their heads. Are you really stupid? Wait, should a fool know he's a fool? With the connection of the interstellar network, a series of loud alarms sounded in the air. Several holographic screens overlapped and popped up in front of Wu Yu. The Space Administration is inviting you. 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 The cub was startled by the sudden alarm sound, and Wu Yu quickly picked him up and agreed to the invitation. We are encrypting your interstellar call connection. Miss Wu Yu, the survivor of Orange Star. In mid-air, a huge projection screen suddenly appeared, and the commander of the Management Bureau reappeared. Yes, it's me. Wu Yu responded to the light screen, and Li Jing in his arms seemed scared. At the moment the light screen appeared, he shrank towards her. The furry blue little head rubbed against Wu Yu's chin. Wu Yu felt like her heart was about to melt. The commander's face showed a warm smile. We can rest assured that you are fine. The entire interstellar space is very concerned about your safety. Thank you. The two of them paused for a moment, and Wu Yu clearly felt the change in the man's expression. He cleared his throat, blinked, as if he was about to get to the point. Ms. Wu Yu, regarding the source of today's huge interstellar coin abnormal income. Can you provide a detailed description? I hope you can cooperate throughout the process. If the source of interstellar coins is not appropriate, the administration may harm you. Take some special measures. Wu Yu's smile froze. Special measures. It won't be another planet explosion, will it? No, there shouldn't be any impurities in my ashes. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Number Ceiling Handling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Number Ceiling Handling. I hope you will carefully consider the suggestions from the Management Bureau. Goodbye. As the interstellar call hung up, the holographic screen returned to standby mode, and Wu Yu, holding Li Jing's cub, let out a deep sigh. What's wrong? Wu Yu silently gazed at the innocent grape-eyed cub on his face. Superstar cub, do you think you can have some more fried eggs? Li Jing instinctively shuddered, and then his round little brain began to shake like a tambourine. No, 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 no. The muttering little cub jumped out of Wu Yu's arms and then ran out without looking back. How about considering sunflower seeds? Ah 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 ah. The distant scream answered her. Wu Yu sat down helplessly in the same spot, suddenly returning to the life of the poor after becoming wealthy, which was completely unexpected to her. I don't want to eat fried eggs either. The contemplative Wu Yu instantly went crazy. On the interstellar network, numerous hotly discussed melon-eating planets, with machine gun typing speed, are condemning the sudden appearance and disappearance of the leaderboard leader Orange Star. Due to the fact that the main player has not yet explained clearly, many star players are itching and unable to bear it, so they have to explain their opinions separately. Just as a group of planets were about to argue about it, the first discoverer of this event, Meow Meow Star, discovered the latest developments. The vast world of interstellar networks. Meow Meow Star. Meow. Look at the money ranking. Meow. Meow Meow Star. The interstellar coin data of the top orange star has turned gray, meow. In a short 5 seconds, the planets that were originally fiercely arguing on the interstellar network suddenly quieted down, and almost all went to refresh the latest data on the leaderboard. The orange star at the top of the list was already eye-catching, and now the long value that broke through the screen has turned into a lifeless gray, as if it has been cut off from many planets. Frozen Star. My master said that Orange Star is cheating Frozen Star. After all, my master is already very powerful. How could he possibly surpass me Green Star? But the Space Administration has verified the data from Orange Star and it is a legitimate channel. Purple Star. But now it has turned gray, probably because it has been banned, laughs. Huxing. If it's really cheating, it should have been kicked out of the interstellar network by the Management Bureau. Sun Toast Star. I really think Tussie. Meow Meow Star. Meow. So we have to wait for the Interstellar Agency to notify Meow. Tuya Lixing. Such a large number is not cheating, it's impossible. Wang Wangxing. Wang. Suning Tusi Star. There is an issue with the system. Huxing. It's also possible, I still want to hear what Orange Star says. Meow Star. I also think meow. Orange Star, come out and talk about meow. Inside the thatched cottage, Wu Yu gazed at his gray interstellar coin amount, while not far away, Li Jing's cub was holding a thick encyclopedia of all things, perhaps pondering how to speak. The cub's fleshy little face bulged, as if gathering enough strength, and with a fierce and spirited bite. Afterwards, he slowly moved his mouth away, covering his cheeks to soothe his sore teeth, tears pitifully swirling in his black eyes, his pink mouth half open, as if about to cry. It's both tragic and funny. As an unscrupulous parent, Wu Yu pursed her lips to cover the rising corners of her mouth, but the reality quickly took away her smile. What is the suggestion from the Management Bureau? It's clearly coercion. Simply put, what happened just now is probably Wu Yu explained to the Management Bureau the origin of a large number of interstellar coins. After the planet collided with the ruins, a large amount of resource fragments were collected by interstellar resource recycling machines, receiving high rewards. The Management Bureau verified the recycling machine and confirmed that there were huge recycling records during the time period mentioned by Wu Yu, confirming that Wu Yu's words were all true and that this income was all compliant and normal income. But after that, something unexpected happened that Wu Yu never expected. Did the Interstellar Administration actually start to mess up? The commander said that even if resources are recovered, it is not possible to fully redeem interstellar coins for Orange Star because the working capital of the Management Bureau is not as high. Wu Yu was speechless by the thunder, and just as he wanted to warmly greet the Management Bureau, the commander continued to speak. However, once the recycled resources are purchased by other planets, the funds can be exchanged for usable interstellar coins. As for now. So, without Wu Yu saying anything more, the string of huge funds she had been dreaming of quickly froze at the speed of light. Wu Yu's tears tended to instinctively surge out in that moment. My money. Woo, my money. The commander of the Management Bureau comforted. There is also good news that in a few days, the Interstellar Administration will select 20 rapidly developing and outstanding planets as representatives to form a leadership committee. The members of the leadership committee will take on the responsibility of leading the team members to jointly build, and have a proud and respected identity. Wu Yu was stunned for a moment, even suspecting that there was something wrong with his ears. So what? The well-dressed commander had a warm smile on his face. If Orange Star is successfully selected for the Leadership Association, they can directly have official channel privileges. So the interstellar coins generated after being purchased by other planets do not need to pay taxes to the Management Bureau. Wu Yu, who was already trapped in rainy days, was once again struck by lightning, with a scorching exterior and tender interior. We still have to pay taxes. How much tax does it cost? There was no emotional ripple on the calm smile of the commander. Don't worry, according to interstellar regulations, a single order only needs to pay 90% tax. 90%, don't worry. Do you mean you don't have to worry about how to spend the money you get? Lost in thought, she thought of this and angrily patted the ground beside her. I don't believe it, the interstellar regulations say you pay a 90% tax. This is clearly a threat. Star coins plus 10,000. Just as Wu Yu was angry, a warning sound came on. Starcoin plus 10,000, Starcoin plus 10,000, Starcoin plus 10,000. It seems that the resources have already been sold out. Wu Yu's anxious gaze caught a glimpse of the cub bared its teeth, waving its fists and beating the encyclopedia of all things. Although I have received the money, I feel like I can't be happy no matter what. Wu Yu broke her fingers and calculated the taxes that had been swallowed up by the Management Bureau, looking up at the sky and shedding tears. Woo, my 90% interstellar coins. This is not tax payment, it clearly takes my life. After a brief moment of grief, Wu Yu quickly picked himself up. The Management Bureau said that only planets with excellent performance and rapid development can join the leadership committee, so the top priority now is, Wu Yu carried the treasure book of raising children and the encyclopedia of all things, and shouldered Li Jing's cub on one shoulder. Wah, 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 what are you going to do to this superstar, wicked woman? The girl's eyes were filled with determination. We can't delay it anymore. Revitalizing Orange Star is about racing against time. For the Orange Star, for the interstellar space, for kindness, for justice. In order to. Wu Yu's resolute expression instantly collapsed. My interstellar administration has taken away 90% of my interstellar coins, wow 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 wow. Li Jing's cub, who was hanging on Wu Yu's shoulder, intended to cry loudly but couldn't cry at all because Wu Yu was crying so badly. Li Jing helplessly covered his ears, numbly bumping on Wu Yu's shoulder all the way. Two people, one big and one small, with hope, are heading towards a beautiful future at the sunset. That's weird. What exactly is this interstellar coin enough for? End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Cultivating Cubs. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Cultivating Cubs. As the sun set in the west, Wu Yu and Li Jing's cubs stood in front of an empty field with a solemn expression. She pointed with her left hand to the front, seeming to be calculating something. The solemn figures of the two seemed to be mobilizing troops and directing the country, if it weren't for Wu Yu reciting his innermost thoughts at this moment. 300,000 interstellar coins, 600,000 interstellar coins, 50,000, the cub half squinted its eyes, silently listening to the woman next to it calculating the hypnotic accounts. This superstar is tired, it's so cold. Li Jing muttered, a gust of wind blowing through his thin singing uniform. He grabbed Wu Yu's sleeve with his little hand and leaned against her side. Wu Yu, who was pondering, felt a warm little thing leaning up beside her. She lowered her head and found that it was Li Jing, with a happy smile on her face. The furry little head sways and the soft and warm little hands, it's so cute. Wu Yu picked up Li Jing and let him lean against his arms to keep warm, but he couldn't stop muttering. Although the money is not very abundant and the source is not very stable, a cold-resistant and warm house is necessary, and this money cannot be saved. Wu Yu, who lives in a slum area, lives near the extreme and the climate is extremely chaotic, with huge temperature differences between day and night as well as daily. Now, with the addition of planetary impacts and severe pollution, there will only be more trouble than before, not less, and it is really impossible to save money on the place of residence. After browsing through the encyclopedia of everything for a while, I found that the house in the slum was still the most suitable. The heat-resistant and cold-resistant wall made of all metal, with a sturdy hemispherical shell, is relatively inexpensive, but has significant disaster resistance. At the same time, warm clothes for the cub and me are also necessary. We also need to ensure food safety. Besides melon seeds and fried eggs, cheaper foods are available. She carefully considered the amount in her heart, and for safety reasons, she still wanted to keep some money for emergencies. In this way, the amount of money she could use would be slightly less. It seems that due to darkness, other planets have stopped working, resources are no longer being sold, and there has been no interstellar currency received for a long time. The degree of damage to Orange Star is too high, and the early construction can only be purchased with interstellar coins, making the synthesis hopeless. Wu Yu made some simple purchases based on the level of expenses spent living in impoverished areas. They are all metal disaster prevention houses, 2 beds, many devil-colored pepper-fried lizard eggs, relatively cheap, so I bought a lot, a set of tables and chairs, a set of stationery, an oil lamp, a filter mask, 2 cold-resistant clothes per person, and 2 thinner clothes. The two of them moved from the thatched cottage to their new home, and Wu Yu lit an oil lamp with the flint he had given as a gift when making the thatched cottage before. The completely paralyzed Orange Star has no electricity, so it can only use consumable oil lamps. If it weren't for helplessness, Wu Yu really didn't want to work at night. She walked up to the cub's bed, carefully tucked in the blanket, and prepared to devote herself to work. On the table and desk inside the house, there are poorly completed drawings on white paper, which are Wu Yu's plans for the orange star. Even if the interstellar coins were broken into pieces, a decent village could not be built. All the ruins have been exhausted, indicating that there will be no simple channel to harvest interstellar coins in the future. Even if there are frozen high-value interstellar coins in the account, relying solely on purchases is only a short-term solution, not a long-term solution. You must use the formula from the encyclopedia of everything to synthesize items as soon as possible, but where do you find the materials from? The degree of damage to the orange star is not even millions of years, and animals and plants cannot evolve. Wu Yu patted her forehead, feeling like her head was about to explode. She thought back then that she was just a little nanny, even an exceptionally excellent nanny with children, but she had never taken on such a heavy responsibility. What should we do? Late-night undercover investigation of the Management Bureau, asking when Orange Star can evolve into life. She reluctantly pinched the soft face of the cub and was about to leave, but was suddenly grabbed by Li Jing's hand. How? Wu Yu, who had intended to soothe his cubs, suddenly raised several notes in his tone just as he spoke for a while. Wu Yu panicked and withdrew her hand, with a clear red tooth mark printed on it. She looked at the cub in shock, and the cub's face was heavy. Why did you leave this superstar behind? Wu Yu's brain was completely blank. Li Jing noticed that Wu Yu was in a daze and became even angrier. He lifted the blanket and began to pant in anger. Why did you throw me into the trash can? Why did you leave me behind? After a moment of silence, Wu Yu suddenly realized that he was referring to putting his cubs in the trash can before throwing the planet away. She looked at Li Jing, who was full of anger, with a pink face like a fried bun about to explode. The more she looked at it, the funnier it became, and in the end, she burst into laughter. The cub became increasingly angry and almost fainted. You! Wu Yu stared at the baby about to explode and suddenly gently embraced him, lifting his small bun face. She gently kissed Li Jing's forehead. Li Jing was at a loss for an instant, and his face turned red. While still in a daze, he was picked up again, covered in a small blanket, and lay down. Since the superstar baby can't sleep, sister, let me tell you a story. Wu Yu rubbed his cub's head, thinking about how to tell a child about this painful disaster of global mass destruction, so as not to be too scary. Li Jing, who had been kissed, had a dull face and lay obediently in the bed. Wu Yu pressed her finger to her lips and pondered. 10 minutes later the cubs watched silently, and Wu Yu shook his head and continued to ponder. 20 minutes later. Well, in simple terms, do you know why I became the only survivor of Orange Star? Li Jing narrowed his eyes and looked puzzled. Have you been selected by Interstellar? Wu Yu, who had been tense and gentle for half a day, collapsed instantly. Making up stories was beyond her ability. If I could have the ability to make up stories, I wouldn't have sold my energy as a nanny. Actually, it just happened that I went out to throw out a garbage bin after work at night, and that trash can happen to be at the pole of the Orange Star. Wu Yu looked at the bewildered cub with a breakdown. The impact point of that planet is on the equator of Orange, so theoretically, the entire planet should have been destroyed by the impact wave together, but it's almost there. This superstar doesn't understand. Simply put, the location of the trash can near the pole was spared, while the rest of the area was destroyed. When the impact occurred, I happened to be near the trash can, so I survived the entire planet. I was afraid of any accidents, so I put you in the safest trash can. Li Jing nestled in the small bed, revealing his head and his face filled with disappointment. What a boring bedtime story. Wu Yu smiled awkwardly. After a moment of silence, the cub suddenly solemnly grasped Wu Yu's hand. I am actually a spy. Air solidifies instantly. Is this also a bedtime story? No, I'm really a spy. If you encounter any problems in the future, leave them to me. Wu Yu frowned and groped Li Jing's forehead in confusion, then touched his own forehead. The cub saw that Wu Yu didn't believe it and anxiously raised its arm. "I'll show you the agent's weapon." Li Jing jumped down and slid his left palm on his right arm, while Wu Yu nervously watched him. Nothing happened. Li Jing shook his arm in confusion and slipped again, while Wu Yu nervously stared at him. Nothing happened. Why? Wu Yu looked at the ceiling, then lowered her head to look at the cubs, and finally at herself. Is the cub crazy, or am I crazy, or is this world crazy? End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Cultivating Cubs. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Cultivating Cubs. Agent 6230 has experienced the most embarrassing thing in over 20 years, even though he is only 6 years old now. In theory, the cannon that should have appeared had not yet appeared, and in the end, he had to crawl back into the blanket as if nothing had happened, staring at himself in anger. Wu Yu felt a bit confused and numb, returning to the table to continue working. The spy should not have revealed his identity, so when Wu Yu struggled to clear the ruins, Li Jing hesitated whether to reveal his identity and come forward to help. Unexpectedly, Wu Yu lifted the planet directly and collided with the orange star. At that moment, the proud son of heaven, excellent Agent 6230, remained calm and composed, feeling fear and boundless oppression for the first time. It is urgent to indicate one's identity. Otherwise, not only may he die inexplicably, but he may also die heroically. However, at that time, Li Jing thought that Wu Yu was breaking the jar and wanting to die with him, so he manipulated his arm at the last moment and released the shell. Thinking of this, the serious face of Li Jing's cub lying in bed suddenly cleared up. He suddenly became enlightened. I see, the weapon is cooling down and it will take some time to use. It's truly me. Surrender to your own wisdom, 6230 Li Jing, the best agent of the Federation of Space Peace. Ha 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 ha. Wu Yu was writing a plan under the oil lamp, rubbing his forehead and turning around to find the cub lying in the bed, with only a blue-haired head and hands exposed. Two little fleshy hands tugged at the edge of the quilt, gazing at the ceiling, their round eyes shining brightly, as if the space had been illuminated by his overflowing joy and hope. Children nowadays have complex thoughts. She shook her head and silently sighed in her heart, trying to ignore the happy cub before continuing to work. The day soon brightened, and the first ray of morning light penetrated through the window and sprinkled on Wu Yu's face. Wu Yu, who was lying on the table sleeping in a daze, shook his head and felt his dream shattering beside his head, gradually waking up and dozing off. She instinctively reached out her hand to wipe the saliva from the corner of her mouth. Suddenly, she woke up and searched for the planning map on the table. After discovering that it was intact without any saliva, she breathed a sigh of relief. Last night, after flipping through the encyclopedia of all things all night, I finally pieced together this planning map. It can be said that this is the best solution within a controllable cost range. As a village that can operate normally and provide food independently, it is necessary to start farming and raising livestock. Continuous replenishment of energy, electricity, gas, and more importantly, the most basic needs are for the villagers to live in. Unfortunately, the encyclopedia of all things is filled with items, and it seems that they are not sold to villagers. Upon careful consideration, it seems that selling villagers is even more unbelievable, and this should be illegal. What's even more uncomfortable is that the encyclopedia of everything doesn't even sell animals, so those who want to raise chickens, ducks, pigs, and cows will have to find ways in the future. However, everything remains the same, and the devil-colored pepper fried lizard eggs on the food are enough to eat for a while. No matter how you arrange it, the basic requirements just listed are already the most basic. Starting from scratch, start with the items that can be purchased from the encyclopedia of everything. Facing the sunrise, Wu Yu walked out of the house with a planning map and an encyclopedia of everything. Hand crank generator and power storage bottle, so basic electricity is done. For gas, purchase straw and manufacture fermentation tanks. This is barely enough, but the cost is higher. Wu Yu's mobile item skills are very sensitive, eliminating a lot of physical labor. After working hard for half a morning, he has completed the power and gas facilities. She moved a stool and sat aside, used her skills to pick up a rake and a shovel to reclaim wasteland, and turned the other hand to look at the encyclopedia of everything, looking for suitable seeds. Wu Yu tried many food crops, but all of them failed when trying to plant them after purchasing. Warning: your land quality is extremely poor and seeds cannot grow. Warning: your land quality is extremely poor and seeds cannot grow. She tried more than 30 types of plants in a row, not to mention grains, even weeds, all of which showed that they could not grow. Wu Yu began to feel a headache. He thought he had prepared himself mentally, but he didn't expect it to be even more challenging than he had imagined. Calling up the system, she opened the leaderboard and looked at each one. There are currently 3 ranking lists provided by the Interstellar network: economy, civilization, and prosperity. After these 3 pages, there is still an unlocked section, and there may be other ranking lists in the future. Previously, Wu Yu only knew that besides the economic ranking, she was all at the bottom of the list, and she didn't even know what she was ranking on the ranking list. However, since the commander of the Management Bureau requested that Wu Yu rank high among many planets and qualify for the leadership meeting, she carefully studied the ranking list. Economic ranking. As the name suggests, based on the total number of interstellar coins held by the planet, although Wu Yu's funds have been frozen, he still ranks first on the list. Civilization ranking. It's a bit abstract. The ranking of cultural construction and the development of civilized society, such as the development of books and knowledge, the formation of villages, and the construction of schools, can all enhance the value of civilization. Prosperity ranking. All kinds of buildings and existing things will be counted as prosperity, mainly based on the level of development, such as electricity, gas, or weapons. If they can improve life or enhance strength, they will increase prosperity value. After carefully observing the ranking list, as expected, except for the economic ranking, the other 2 have found themselves in the bottom position. Wu Yu silently sighed, thinking that it was really a long and arduous task. Excellent performance, won't you rank in the top 20? She looked at the absurdly high figures in front of her and took a deep breath. Before closing the Interstellar network, Wu Yu received an announcement about his account being frozen. The reason for the freeze given by the Space Administration is very vague, only stating that there are some issues, emphasizing that Orange did not violate any rules, but it is necessary to freeze the fund account and only use a small amount of working capital. Wu Yu had long guessed such a result, closed the Interstellar network, held the encyclopedia of all things without hope, and continued to try planting seeds. Warning: your land quality is extremely poor and seeds cannot grow. Warning: your land quality is extremely poor and seeds cannot grow. Planted successfully. A different prompt sound made Wu Yu suddenly bounce up from the chair. I was just thinking of giving it a try, but I didn't expect it to be a real success. If it can grow successfully, wouldn't all the food problems in the future be solved? That would be so happy. She quickly looked at the encyclopedia of all things in her hand. Before she could finish her excitement, as soon as she saw the name of the seed clearly, her heart cooled a lot. The flower of steel. It sounds very funny. The corners of Wu Yu's mouth twitched. After carefully reading the explanation of seeds in the encyclopedia of everything, her expression showed a hint of relief in helplessness. Steel flower. After planting, metal flowers will be obtained during flowering, which can collect a small amount of metal resources. Although it can't be eaten, it can still be considered as an additional way to obtain energy. She silently comforted herself and relentlessly tried the remaining seeds one by one, but they all failed to grow. Wu Yu slapped her forehead and felt as if everything was going out of control. Woo 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 woo. She cried in her heart, only to hear a faint cry. What's going on? I haven't started crying yet. Wu Yu, who was suspicious, looked around and thought it was his cub crying, but he didn't see him. Until the crying gradually became chaotic and turned into a group of whimpering cries. Wu Yu followed the sound and looked into the distance. On the horizon, large green creatures rushed towards Wu Yu. This situation is thorough, out of control. Baby, wake up quickly. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Parabola Hey. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Parabola Hey. On the horizon, a group of green-skinned and pointed-eared creatures, wolves and ghosts howling, rushed towards the small residential area circled by Wu Yu. No one says that developing the orange star also requires fighting against mutated creatures. Even the residence was just built yesterday, why use it to fight monsters? Wu Yu carried Li Jing on his shoulder, holding 2 heavy books, and quickly ran towards the outside of his residence. Before she could run a few steps, the drooling cub who was dreaming of eating chocolate was awakened by the jolt. He opened his eyes in confusion and found that in the inverted world, large green-skinned humanoid monsters were relentlessly chasing after him. Ah, 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 ah. The monster behind seemed to have participated in a racing competition, competing to reach out greedily to the soft and fragrant cubs. Li Jing was carried on his shoulder, desperately trying to pull out the electromagnetic gun on his arm. Despite being very anxious, he still had no response. As the monster's withered hands were about to touch its cheeks, the cub made an effort to remove the treasure book of raising children held in Wu Yu's arm. Its 2 little hands were sunk and jolted, and then a sturdy book hit the monster's face. Bang! The skinny monster was knocked down to the ground, and Li Jing saw hope. He gritted his teeth and continued to wave the book in his hand. Bang, bang, bang. As the cubs kept waving, several monsters fell one after another. Unknowingly, Wu Yu still carried his cubs and ran forward. A group of monsters caught up and blocked Wu Yu's path, and the 2 were surrounded by the monsters layer by layer. She gritted her teeth and watched as the monster approached, trying to break through the encirclement. However, she couldn't see which side had fewer monsters, and everywhere was a vast expanse of darkness. I would have brought a shovel to turn the earth, even if I had a cornstalk in my hand now. Wu Yu's heart stiffened and he made up his mind. No big deal, fish die and the net is broken. Fight it. She picked up the encyclopedia of all things, closed her eyes, waved the book, and rushed forward. Ah, 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 ah. Accompanied by bursts of roars, Wu Yu, who was running forward, heard muffled blows in his ears. Bang, bang, bang. Wu Yu still closed his eyes and ran forward, waving his book. After running for an unknown amount of time, he gradually felt something was wrong. How come it seems like we haven't hit the monster again? She didn't dare to stop running, but carefully opened her eyes and turned around to see that she had opened up a path in the vast green monster group. Behind him, countless skinny green humanoid monsters lay on the ground, but soon a large number of new monsters were added. So easy to fight. Wu Yu looked at her hands and books in surprise. What else are you running? All the supplies are here. Am I actually born with divine power? The cub didn't speak, just painstakingly and numbly waved the parenting treasure, smashing down the chasing monster. Then lazily yawned, and the baby's plump and fair cheeks, accompanied by a smacking motion, piled up small pieces of flesh. Wu Yu hesitated and transferred Li Jing from his shoulder to his arms, turning around to stare blankly at the monster that had been knocked down by the cubs. It seems that it's not because I'm too strong, but because my opponent is too weak. 3 monsters rushed up in front of him, and Wu Yu picked up a book and smashed it head on. Bang! The monster was indeed knocked down again, and Wu Yu looked at the thick book in his hand and suddenly realized. Knowledge is power, this interstellar proverb, do not deceive me. The next day Wu Yu numbly heated the dishes in an iron pot, while Li Jing's cubs jumped up and down in the green monster ocean, mercilessly waving the parenting treasure in their hands. On the quiet and open land, the girl flipped her shovel, and the devil-colored pepper-fried lizard eggs in the pot on the campfire emitted a fragrant aroma. Behind her, more than a dozen green sharp-eared monsters quietly approached, but Wu Yu was unaware. The monster bared its teeth and claws, suddenly biting Wu Yu's shoulder. Health point 1, health point 1, health point 1. Wu Yu-chan breathed a sigh of relief, helplessly and proficiently gave the monster an elbow strike on the head, then took the vegetables and knocked down the other monsters with a few fists, shouting at the group of monsters. "Superstar baby, it's time to eat." After hearing the shouting, the cold and ruthless cub waved the book with bright eyes and quickly ran out with the monster falling. At the small round table, the two of them were eating hot and steaming food. A mouthful of hot food was stuffed into Wu Yu's mouth, and she squinted happily, feeling that the whole world was beginning to bloom with small flowers. It's really fortunate to be able to taste delicious food after getting used to drinking nutritional supplements just halfway through the meal. She was also an ugly-looking skilled shovel and swung down many monsters behind her. A surviving monster, who had escaped by chance, walked behind Wu Yu with a dull expression and bit her head. Health point 1, health point 1, health point 1. Wu Yu happily ate his meal, raised his hand and swung the monster in a circle. After knocking down the monster, he continued eating as if nothing had happened. Not only is the defense low, but even the attack power is pitiful. Be a monster for this purpose, sigh. At that time, when Wu Yu, a scumbag with only 5 combat abilities, discovered that the monster's combat power was less than 0.01, he quickly became suicidal. As a result, these thin and weak green-skinned monsters may seem easy to eliminate, but they can only be knocked down, and attacks are ineffective against them. As it gradually reached noon, more planets began to use resources, and then they continuously gained some interstellar coin income. She and her cubs stayed at the base, purchased a large number of weapons, and tried each one, but surprisingly none of them could eliminate the monsters. I have tried all kinds of weapons that I can think of and have the ability to purchase, from powerful damage to explosive output, from science to mysticism, and even garlic and ginger. But these monsters are actually unharmed. Exhausted, Wu Yu changed his mind and decided to defend if he couldn't kill them. He built a high wall to trap them outside, so let's go. At the moment when the high wall was built, Wu Yu almost burst into tears when he saw all the monsters being blocked outside. Later, when I saw the monster spreading its transparent wings and flying in one after another from outside the city wall, persistently charging towards the two of them, she really shed tears big and big. Who can come and save me? Within a day, after exhausting all her imagination, Wu Yu once again used the planet to smash her heart, but in the cold sweat of her cubs, she regained her sanity. The next day, the two of them completely began to put on a bad mode, and their normal life was not affected, but it was just a bit annoying. The weapons I bought with money are all useless, and thinking of this makes Wu Yu feel very liver-wrenching. The huge expenses have led to near bankruptcy, and although we have a few incomes, we are already able to afford to drink from the west and north. Wu Yu sat in a chair, thinking about whether he could go to the Interstellar network to inquire about the situation, but when he clicked on the chat record and found that he had never replied to everyone's messages, he nervously closed the website. The monster rushed at her again. She used her skills to control the shovel in the air and waved it around. Her eyes never left the encyclopedia of everything. Although it didn't cause much harm, it was also a bit annoying. So many monsters, getting up after being knocked down for a while, getting up after being knocked down for a while, constantly fighting monsters day and night, is also too exhausting. If only we could drive them away. Wu Yu pondered, holding his forehead with one hand and looking up at the strange crowd. When she was about to control the shovel to continue hitting the monster, she squinted and found that the monsters seemed to be emitting green light. Wait, that seems like green border. A dense green border. She started trying to click and drag a green-skinned monster in the void before her eyes. In the chaotic sky, a green monster flew up into the sky and crossed the clouds, forming a smooth parabola. Shocked, Wu Yu opened her mouth wide, regretting that she hadn't opened the skill page earlier. No way, can we move even if we're alive? Then, on the rudimentary base, beautiful green parabolas were born in the sky. End of this chapter. Chapter 10 is about perpetual motion machines. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 is about perpetual motion machines. When Wu Yu discovered his ability to move items and move monsters, his life was much better. She lifted the monsters high and threw them towards the distance, although carrying a hint of luck that it was impossible to kill them by falling, it would take some time for them to simply walk back from the falling ground. It seems like the problem has been completely solved, but there are too many monsters. Although the skill of moving items can select monsters, it can only move individually, and there are thousands of monsters in piles. Wu Yu tried to eliminate the interference around him while selecting monsters and throwing them towards a high and distant place. After her waist was sore and her back was painful, she withdrew her gaze towards the parabola, only to find that there was still more than half of the monster in front of her. She covered her sore neck and turned around, intending to continue dealing with the monster, but stopped after looking at the faint green light. I've been operating for too long, my eyes are blurred, and I can't see where the green box is. Wu Yu stretched lazily, feeling as if she had been cramped and skinned alive. She looked at Li Jing, who was painting on the empty ground. Superstar baby, sister has given you a difficult task. The cub looked at her helplessly, its mouth slightly pouting with dissatisfaction. This superstar wants to draw, don't beat monsters. Wu Yu blinked, pounded his shoulder, pondered for a moment, and forcefully squeezed out 2 tears. Baby, only you can help my sister now. She sobbed grandly, wiping her tears with one hand and holding Li Jing in her arms with the other. These monsters are bullying my sister, and she really needs the help of the baby. Li Jing's cubs didn't eat this trick, and their meaty little face bulged even bigger. Just now, he looked at Wu Yu and threw the monster all over the sky. I, Li Jing, am a top-secret agent. I wouldn't have resorted to such low-level torture tactics. Wu Yu saw that Li Jing did not react and was somewhat surprised, so she continued to pretend to cry. The superstar baby is the most powerful, it won't be very difficult. These monsters must be scared when they see you. The cub suddenly squatted down and stared at the girl's face. Li Jing's grape-like black eyes shone, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up in patience. Really? Wu Yu watched as Li Jing shook and held onto his small head with both hands, staring at the innocent and harmless little face. Of course, my baby is the most powerful. Now there are only the best and most powerful heroes in the universe who can save my sister. The innocent cub's eyes shone brightly. Wu Yu suppressed her expression and tried not to laugh. So who is the most powerful hero in the entire universe? I really wish a great hero could come and rescue me now. He must be particularly brave and handsome. The cub quickly got up, picked up the treasure trove of raising children on the table, and was about to go to the monster group. Before leaving, he hesitated and looked at Wu Yu, feeling quite proud and coquettish. This superstar just happened to want to play. That's all. Wu Yu's face lit up with a brilliant smile. Okay, my superstar hero. The cub's gaze dodged, but a smile appeared on Little Meat's face, and he ran away with a flushed face. Wu Yu stood up straight, looked up at the sky, with a smile on his face. Children, it's best to coax. Undoubtedly, I am a nanny with exceptional professional skills and childcare skills. The reason why the cubs dare to fight monsters themselves is not only because the monsters are true and harmless, but also because of a discovery by Wu Yu. That's right, I seem to be Li Jing's blood bag. Last time when Li Jing's cubs went hungry, Wu Yu kept bleeding. At that time, she didn't understand the mechanism, only thought it was retribution. Later, after reading the parenting guide one by one, I found that the parenting system has a tough setting. After establishing a connection with Wu Yu, the offspring's health and health will be tied together. Simply put, Uncle is a damage transfer mechanism, and before Wu Yu runs out of health, the damage suffered by the cubs will be borne by Wu Yu. Well, the system briefly explained the methods of transferring damage, but Wu Yu didn't quite understand. Anyway, it's the same as skills, that kind of advanced scientific technology. When binding the system, the instruments bound to Wu Yu are matched with the instruments already installed by the cub, and then they will take effect. A system can match multiple offspring at the same time, which means that after waiting for Wu Yu to meet other offspring, Wu Yu will become a shared health pack among many offspring. It is said that it is to prevent someone from maliciously abusing their cubs. After all, it is also a forced demand to protect their cubs, but it sounds very scary. If there were a particularly large number of cubs and one person fell, would they die in place? Wu Yu shuddered. It seemed that he needed to find a way to improve his health in the future. Within the wall, due to the efforts of the cubs, Wu Yu's side became much quieter. She is studying the machine she bought a few days ago. It goes without saying that biogas digesters only have a long fermentation time, high cost of purchasing straw, and there is not much to operate. I haven't had much time recently for a hand-cranked generator, so I tried it at the beginning. Generating electricity is much more difficult than imagined. If done manually, even with continuous shaking, it is estimated that only one light can stay on all night. She remembered Li Jing's special ability to inspire organisms to accelerate efficiency. Although it has accelerated, the workload has not changed, so Wu Yu keeps shaking, as if it hasn't improved much. So, the way of generating electricity may need to be changed again. Do we have to wait until the biogas is fermented and then use fuel to drive the generator to generate electricity? Wu Yu pressed her index finger to her lips, pondering silently, only to suddenly realize that she was constantly losing blood. Health point 1, health point 1, health point 1. She looked into the strange pile, picked up the shovel, and fished out the exhausted cubs from the green ocean. Wu Yu shook the shovel twice and held Li Jing out like a kitten. Looking at his dirty face, she suddenly felt guilty. Well, it's time for you to grow your body now, exercising more is great. She spoke to herself, comforting herself, as Li Jing's cub looked up at her with a complex expression. The sense of guilt was like a flood, quickly engulfing Wu Yu, and she even began to feel a little guilty. So, sister, can you buy chocolate for the superstar baby? The cub shook its head weakly. Where is the railway babeo kanji? Although Wu Yu has never eaten it and I don't know which food it is, it seems like I remember Li Jing mentioned it last time he cried. The cub shook its head again. Wu Yu held the soft cub tightly, asked softly, and mended a shovel for the monster who was chasing after him. Does the baby have anything they want? Li Jing seemed to suddenly have an energy and looked up at Wu Yu solemnly. I want a piano. Despite the poor economic situation, Wu Yu also spent a lot of money to buy the most expensive and best piano for Li Jing. Although there is a small part of the reason, it is because Wu Yu's inner guilt cannot be filled since buying the piano, Li Jing has been sticking to it and has been struggling to practice. It is worth lamenting that even superstars like Li Jing, who are versatile in singing, dancing, and musical instruments, started playing the piano with Caton's Little Star. In fact, when he started playing the piano with dignity, Wu Yu had a little anticipation. Note: the above information about superstar Li Jing was seen by Wu Yu on the page of Li Jing in the Baby Raising Encyclopedia. Wu Yu was driving monsters while studying generators, and the more he studied, the more annoyed he became. The monster behind him seemed tireless, constantly rushing towards him, causing Wu Yu to be unable to let go. Wait, tireless. The girl looked at the monsters constantly running towards her, then at the generator, and a bold idea emerged. Using endless energy and adding those components, is this the legendary perpetual motion machine? End of this chapter.